Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Pause up, pet pals. Welcome to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Now, on today's show, we will be tackling the very weighty issue facing our dogs. And later in the show, we're going to spotlight the growing sport of dog agility. But first up, did you know that there is a real science to helping your dog safely shed extra pounds? Our first guest today has the scientific know-how and the studies to prove it. And he's created a yummy, healthy chew for our dogs. Please welcome to our show, this is a fancy title, the Chief Scientific Officer and founder of NuSirt, that's N-U-S-I-R-T, oh my gosh, Biopharma, Dr. Michael Zemel. Dr. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Arden. Pleasure to be here.
Hey, pet pals, he's going to help us because nearly half of all dogs in America, raise a paw, are overweight or even worse, obese. And let's just tee it up right now, Dr. Michael. What are some of the health dangers facing our dogs who maybe have more waddle than wiggle or look like hairy ottomans?
What a great question. It is pretty much the same set of concerns that afflict us humans, because dogs aren't in this on their own. They're following us. And so with increasing degrees of overweight, there is an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, of diabetes, of several kinds of cancers, some of which are really quite prevalent in dogs as they age. Higher body fat makes it worse. There's also a concern, many breeds of dogs, especially larger breeds, tend to have orthopedic issues.
So the big A word, arthritis, right? And joint pain?
That's exactly right. And it is only made worse by having more to carry around. And so you get into this vicious cycle. It hurts to get up and move. So you get up and move less. So you're burning fewer calories. So you pack on a little more body fat because your appetite hasn't changed.
I think we're on a mission to get rid of this from the dictionary, chow hounds.
Yep.
But come on, you got to admit, Dr. Michael, they look at us like, you're going to eat that? Come on, I'll take a little of that, right? They work us. And
they do, and as our diet quality has declined, so has theirs.
That's right. So I named your company, and it's a mouthful, NuSirt Biopharma. For us mere mortals, what exactly do you do?
Okay, so NuSirt is actually a pharmaceutical company developing novel drugs for application in human beings, not in pets. The product that we'll be talking about was actually originally developed for humans. And this is one of those cases where not a mouse, not a rat, but the human being was the model for developing something in the dog. And we actually have developed both pharmaceutical formulations as well as a smaller number of nutraceutical or dietary supplement formulations.
Okay, so before we mention the secret word, which we're going to do that, people also want to know a little bit about you. You've been in the world of academia, and you're making my brain hurt. You've studied molecular and cellular studies on energy, metabolism. I mean, when you were on a swing set as a little boy, did you say, when I grow up, I'm going to be a molecular professor? What was your wish, and how did you get there?
So that's a wonderful question too. And those of you looking on video can see that I've got a lot of white hair. So it means you're asking me to think back a long time ago. I don't know what I was thinking about when I was on a swing some many decades ago. But what I can tell you is I always had an abiding interest in science and always had the sense that I wanted to do something in science. As I got a little older, that science became biomedical. And as I got a little older, it became more medical. I have spent my career in endocrinology, metabolism, and nutrition, and interested in both nutritional approaches as well as pharmacological approaches to solve the big problems, the problems that are likely to, if not kill us, at least make our lives miserable.
Right. And we have a secret weapon, and that's our dogs, who can make us release good hormones and tone down the stress hormones.
Absolutely.
I think you have something like over 24 U.S. patents. I'm not talking shoes, but I'm talking about patents. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't want to be immodest, but it's probably closer to 3,000. But yes.
Wow. And what does that mean? I mean, can you give us a tease on a patent that people might be like, well done, Dr. Michael Zemel, well done?
I don't know that I can, because each of these patents is related to discovery or development of a drug, which then goes into development. And by the time period between the development of a patent and you're seeing a drug is a decade and a half.
How long would it grow on your beard? You have a beautiful white beard, so how many inches do you think it would translate?
Oh, I don't think this is getting any longer.
Okay, I love it though. It's well done, well trimmed. So we said we tease people, so we're done teasing people.
Oh, good.
Tell people what the heck is Slim Paws, and we got about a minute and a half before our break. I want to tell people about it. You just go to slimpaws.com. But you've got somebody here, everybody, that's a man of science. And tell us about Slim Paws.
Sure. So Slim Paws is designed to work with your dog's body to help shift the energy or calories that are coming in away from storage as fat, and instead shift to burning in muscle.
I like that.
Now, it's not magic. No. And what I mean by that is it works best when you do something, and then Slim Paws can put a multiplier on what you do. What do I mean by do something?
Yes.
Increase the amount of walking your dog gets. Okay. Make sure that you don't overfeed your dog. Now note that I did not say put your dog on a diet.
No. It's called measure your food. That's a really good thing to have a baseline, right?
Right. And that will have effects on its own, but this puts a major multiplier on those effects and restores your dog's weight. Over a period of 12 weeks, an obese dog can lose a quarter to even a third of his or her body weight.
Wow. Hey, everyone, we're speaking with Dr. Michael Zemel. He is one of the people behind the creation of a soft chew for pets. It's called Slim Paws. We're going to dive in after the break and find out what beagles had to do with all of this and what are some of the results. So everybody sit and stay. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. I'm Arden Moore. We're talking with a brainiac. Yeah, a good brainiac who loves dogs. Before the show, he showed me his beautiful shepherd mix named Don, D-O-N. So we have Dr. Michael Zemel here on the show. And sometime you did a clinical study. It was controlled. It was about a couple dozen beagles at the University of Tennessee. And here's my Kevin Bacon for you, Dr. Michael. I know Dr. Joseph Bartis very, very well because I write the nutrition column for Catster and Dogster magazines. He used to be there. I know he's at the University of Georgia now. He was one of your teammates on the study, right?
Correct.
He's a good guy.
He actually led the study. we wanted to have an arm's length relationship. We did not want to conduct the study, so we wanted this conducted by a university, and Joe was the person we went to.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this. I guess there were 3 different groups, right, for the beagles?
Yeah. So, as many of your listeners probably know, beagles are very susceptible to the ills of diet. I had a beagle some years ago, and it didn't matter what I did. She was really, really big, and not in a good way.
I had a beagle growing up. The dog's name was Crackers, but she waddled, and my dad would call her a pickle barrel.
Yeah, exactly. They are prone to such things.
Yeah.
So what we did, and the reason for using beagles, very simply, is because they're more or less homogeneous. If you just say, well, we're just going to take a bunch of different client-owned dogs, well, you might have one dog that is really not susceptible to overweight at all,
right?
And another that is horrifically susceptible to overweight. Here we have a group of dogs that are all similarly susceptible, and so they were fed a diet that they really, really, really liked.
Okay.
And that diet caused them to become obese.
Okay.
And they then got randomized into different groups. So one group went on a basically a diet,
right?
A dog food that is a reduced calorie dog food provided in limited quantity.
I don't want to be in that group. Go ahead, Dr. Michael.
Second group received the supplement that we had developed for human use and actually was quite effective in humans. And this is the supplement that ultimately became Slim Paws.
Okay. It's the L word, right? Is that the
yes.
Leucine? That's the way you spell leucine. Yeah.
Yes.
Leucine.
Well, leucine's only part of it.
Okay. I don't want to overcomplicate, but keep going.
Yeah. It's a mixture of 2 nutrients, all natural, 2 nutrients, one of which reduces the ability of the fat cell to make and store fat, and the other one of which, the leucine that you just mentioned, helps shift that fat to muscle for burning.
Good. I need a bunch of that right now. Keep going.
So one group of beagles got that instead of the diet.
Okay.
And the third group got an identical placebo. So basically something that was inactive.
Right.
And so what happened was the group on the placebo remained obese. After 4 weeks, after 8 weeks, after 12 weeks, they remained obese. The group given the diet dog food lost weight, lost fat, and improved their body condition score, and by quite a bit. The group that was given the active supplement matched them. So without being given the diet dog food,
so you could have quality their calories, food. Right?
They matched them in terms of weight loss, body fat loss, improvement in body condition score. And if your listeners aren't familiar with body condition score, you might say overall shape and appearance, as well as improvement in some of the metabolic risk factors that are associated with being overweight. Those risk factors include those related to insulin resistance, as well as those related to inflammation.
Yes, and that's a really key point. So you did the study, which I love because there's a lot of supplements out there, Dr. Zemel, and there's not a lot of science behind it. Let's just be candid. You're a brainiac. You do your research. You talk about the ingredients in Slim Paws without sounding really like a commercial. but you say that it has a fat fighter blend. That sounds like I should get a T-shirt, and it's patented. So, what's your take on your product? Because you've put a lot of science behind it and how it may help pets. And I'm not trying to have you toot your own horn. I'm just trying to have people understand you didn't just sit in your basement and come up with something. There's been lots of studies, lots of things being examined in controlled context. So you just didn't churn this out overnight.
Oh, no, not at all. In fact, what we did, we started we started with a theory, and the theory was based, you mentioned leucine earlier, which is an amino acid. Right. And our theory was based primarily on leucine. And we spent a lot of time on how leucine would affect human fat cells and human muscle cells. And as we began to understand how it worked, we said, this is interesting science, but it's not enough to have a clinically important effect. How can we add to this? And so this is where we began looking for something that was naturally occurring that would affect not just the fat burning side, but also the fat synthesis side, the
yes.
fat storage
yeah, that's
side.
important.
So imagine a seesaw.
Okay.
You know, if it's evenly balanced and you put a small rock on one side, it'll tilt a little bit. But if you put a small rock on one side, the fat burning side, and then also lift off the weight from the other side, the fat storage side, then you're going to get a magnified effect. It's really going to tilt a lot. That was our goal, developing a synergy by simultaneously reducing fat storage and improving fat burning.
Now we've got about a minute left. So Slim Paws is a soft chew for dogs, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a treat. The notion is you give this to your dog instead of another treat that you might otherwise give your dog. If you want to do it in a motivating way and you're going to be increasing his or her amount of time walking, give it to them at the end of the walk. Let them associate the activity with the treat.
I saw your dog Don briefly, camera shy, not a camera hound. How is Don's weight and all that?
Don's weight is fantastic. He is a German Shepherd, actually not a mix. He's got panda coloring, which is an unusual set of color for a German Shepherd. But he's
how old is he?
Shepherd. He's 4 years old, and his weight is 72 to 73 pounds, which is, if you look at his body condition score, it looks to be ideal.
That's pretty. I would say that Don is one lucky dog to have you as his pet parent. He met the scientist that's here to help him live a long, healthy life without a lot of aches and pains. So just want you to know, Don was kind of telling me, I got a cool dad.
Well, I think it's important to remember that when you manage weight in a pet, the best, and this is true for people as well,
right?
The best evidence we have is that is going to improve their health span. And there is some evidence, and people are collecting more, that it will increase their lifespan. I'm not making lifespan claims here because I don't know that. But we know in general, a pet with optimal weight will have a longer time spent in health and possibly longer total time with us.
I love that. Hey, everyone, we're speaking with Dr. Michael Zemel. He is the man that has created Slim Paws. Check it out. Go to slimpaws.com. So we're going to go to weighty issues. And after the break, we're going to come back and talk about maybe how to pump up the exercise in your pet by talking with a world-renowned dog agility trainer. So sit, stay. We'll be right back.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Four-Legged Life.
Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content.
Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.